Okay, so my name is John Shank. I am the National Director of Sales for Artesian Home Products. So we sell a multitude of gutter guards. So many of you know me by from the phone, but haven't met me or seen me in person. So hello. So we have. Well, I'm going to go through several things today. Many of the things I'm going to go through are basic things, just to keep keep you from having to get a service call. But it's also good for sales to know the installation procedure if they have it. A lot of people don't log in for this. They end up. I send out the video after the fact to everybody as well, so everybody has a copy, and they can watch it at their leisure as well. But in this session, we'll be able to. You can ask questions. You can tell me, if you have specific situations that you run into out there that you've run into with maybe Valor. Some of you might have installed Valor before. Arrow's essentially the same product with a little bit different pattern. It's a newer version of the same gutter guard. So as we get started, I'm just going to go through the spec sheet on the product, just to kind of give you an idea. Can you blow that up for me? Perfect. All right. So Arrow gutter guards comes in 3 colors now. We used to do 5 colors. We were doing brown and mill finish as well. We are going to phase those 2 colors out along with extra large mesh. Those will be available until about middle of the summer, though. If you want those products, they'll still be here for now. But I'm starting now the push to discontinue those products. What we're doing is we're making an effort to keep the pricing because of the tariffs and all the new things that are coming up with metal costs and things like that. We're trying to keep the costs the same, or at least close to what we have it at, so that you don't have a price increase. So we're trying to get creative on how to mitigate those costs for our customers. And many of the companies out there may be trying to do some of the same things, but we are definitely making an honest effort to make sure you get a quality product at a price you can afford to do, and then still make great money off of it. The Arrow gutter guard comes, like I said, in 3 colors. We have the white, charcoal, and colonial gray. Those are going to be the standard 3 colors. We will have copper as an option. We do have copper metal. One of the cool things about all our gutter guards is that you have the ability to create any size you want. So if you have a custom gutter, let's say a box gutter or a commercial gutter, we can make adjustments. Although it does say it fits 4 to 7 inch gutters, we do have, like it says, custom sizes. That V-shaped design is a newer design over the S-curve we have on the Valor. The idea was sharper edges cause faster water throughput. We found that it is, but it's not a noticeable difference. It's going to still take about 44 inches of rain an hour, maybe a little bit more. The high flow louver frame that's underneath it is the reason we built that way, and it kind of looks like a heater vent. Everybody, oh, that looks like a heater vent. Well, the reason we made it that way is so water can fall through it freely. You don't want the water sitting on a tray where it's going to accumulate any kind of debris or pollen, creating organic growth. So we had to figure out a way to make it strong, but still let the water fall through freely and not sit and stagnate. So what we did was we made the louvers, and the louvers are a patented design. Nobody else has them, and it gives you a much faster water throughput. It also creates surface tension from the bottom of the screen. The Arrow is perforated into the screen to create even more surface tension, which is why you only need a 2.5 inch screen size to take 44 inches of rain. It actually speeds up the water for the way it's built, and so it gives it plenty of room to go through. You'll see our 40 mesh has 1,600 holes per square inch. That's going to change to a 30 mesh here in the near future. The 30 mesh is going to be 900 holes per square inch, which is still pretty fine. It is going to be a little bit bigger wire. I believe it's a .011 wire, meaning it'll have a little bit bigger diameter, meaning it's going to be stronger, so it'll be more rigid. It's just basically an upgrade to the screen on the standard mesh. We found the 40 mesh works fantastic. It takes all the water, it does all those things, but in a really high flow area, if it's pitched at an angle of 19 degrees, you start to get a little bit of overshoot. So we're moving to the 30 mesh. The 24 mesh has 500 holes, or 576 holes per square inch, has a .009 wire. That particular screen is going to be for all your high flow areas. It's plenty big enough to take as much water as you need it to take. We'll talk about pitch in a few slides, but I wanted to just kind of give you some general information. The screen area is 2.5 inches wide. A lot of people say, why isn't it bigger for a 6-inch and a 5-inch? Well, the reason for that is it doesn't need to be. When you're making these machines, they have to stamp a certain size. In order to make a wider screen, you have to get 10 new machines to create the bigger part. So it's a little bit of a process. The 20 gauge patent, or the 20 gauge painted aluminum, is a baked on enamel. It's not going to come off. So if you, as long as you take care of it, it should last you a lifetime, or 50 years. It's made with that same 020 cold rolled aluminum that we make roof kits, roof caps, and all types of roofing sheeting out of. They come in 4-foot sections. I sent out recently something about our drop down product, which is the leaf blocker product. That one is going to be made in 44 inches for shipping purposes, to also, again, cut costs. So you'll have 99-foot boxes instead of 100-foot boxes. So that's just a side note. There's 2 ways to mount this product. It's under the shingle or on the fascia. I know a lot of this stuff is all just preaching to the choir for some of you guys, but I just want to go through it for the people who don't have that information. As we get to the screen, it's a 304 stainless steel. The reason they call it 304 is the amount of nickel that's in the screen. The amount of nickel kind of determines what its rust resistance is. So you just want to, that's going to be the next one below 316, which is marine grade. Marine grade's a lot more expensive. Again, it's kind of the marine grade's a little bit overkill for a gutter guard, simply because it only gives it maybe another year or two longevity if it's in a marine environment. So yes, it has more nickel. Yes, but it's a lot more expensive. So again, in order to cut costs and keep it affordable for you, we made a compromise there. The wind resistance is 110 miles an hour. It'll pretty much take any kind of wind. If you have a Bentwing product on there and it's mounted to the fascia, it's probably going to take a lot more than that, but we wanted to put the minimum resistance. Fire rating meets a WUI and Class A fire compliance. So you have a tested product out there that's very resistant to fire and great for the environment. Again, it takes 44 inches of rain an hour, and it will take a snow load of about 125 pounds with the flat wing product. With the Bentwing product, obviously that's going to be a lot more. Next slide. Oh, back up one more. Let me talk about moss away and melt away. So we have a product called Moss Away. If you have a house that has lots of moss on it, you're probably going to get moss on the screen eventually. So what we can do is you can order what's called Moss Away. It's a zinc strip that goes into the gutter guard. Let's see, do I have a piece of that? No, we don't. Okay. It's a zinc strip that goes into a piece of the gutter guard, or into the back side of the gutter guard. So when water crosses over it, it releases zinc oxide onto the screen. And in doing so, it eliminates organic growth throughout the entire gutter system. So that water it coats the screen and it gets all through the gutter system, so that you don't get moss and algae and any of that stuff, little trees and grass that you'll see on some of these pictures with some of our competitors out there. You'll see those, you'll see the the screen with the grass growing on top of it, things like that. If you use Boss Away, that cannot happen. Okay, now we can slide. Okay, so right now we're dealing with a lot of what's called wildland urban interface. Wildland urban interface is the distance or point between a rural area and a populated area. It's a very important message to know, especially right now. Ohio's picking up these laws. I believe North Carolina is going to be picking up these laws, as well as Florida and Georgia. They've hit California. They've been in California for about 1.5 years to 2 years now. Might even be longer than that. They are requiring gutter guards or an A-class fire compliant gutter guard system on homes. You want to preemptively let your customer know, hey, look, these laws are coming down the pipe. They're going to require a non-combustible cover on your gutter. And if you have anything that is other than metal that hasn't been tested by the American Society for Testing of Materials, you're going to be in a pickle. So if they go out and spend $10,000, $20,000 on a really nice gutter system that's made from plastic, say, or made from materials other than materials that have already been tested, they will be required to take them off and replace them, losing all that money. So you want to preemptively let your customers know, hey, look, this is going to happen. Insurance companies are already flying drones over in many states and canceling insurance policies. I get calls, people needing to get an estimate on their house because they have to be in contract by a certain time, or the insurance agent will cancel their homeowner's insurance. It's affecting not only the roofing industry, and it's going to spread like wildfire, pardon the pun, across the U.S. Because they need to consolidate or isolate how much people are paying in certain areas for the high fire and high flood areas, which are all going to land in those wildland urban interfaces, so that they can mitigate all the cost of the insurance for those people by making everybody in those areas pay a higher fee. So unfortunately, that's the way the world works, and it's going to put everybody who's selling those lighter weight gutter guards that don't meet A-class fire compliance obsolete eventually. Not that you can still put them on your house, but if they fly a drone over your house or they ask you about it and you can't give them the right answer, you will get canceled. Let's move to the next slide. So this is basically where all the WUI territories are. The states in blue have the most WUI compliance. You have Texas. You see North Carolina there is a deep red. So is Georgia. South Carolina is really bad. You have Louisiana and Texas. All these different areas. So you guys are right in. Some of you guys are right in that hot spot on the East Coast, whereas we are in the hot spots on the West Coast. So just a heads up, the ASTM, these guards have been tested to E84 and E2768, which means they have survived a 30-minute burn test with direct flame. They've also passed a cotton test where they drop embers on it for a certain amount of time until to see if they can burn the cotton that's inside the gutter underneath the gutter guard, and we passed that test with flying colors. To my knowledge, I think we are the only company in the country that have those classifications for these gutter guards. So you have an advantage there and a head start on everybody else as a result of that testing. So use that in your sales. It's going to be a big selling point. Next slide. This is a article that came out in Ohio. States begging insurers not to drop climate-threatened homes. We've had multiple articles throughout California and Colorado and Texas. And like I said, it's hitting everywhere. I'm sure you'll start seeing it soon if it's not already there and you just didn't see the articles. But they are identifying where the most money's spent on this map. And it looks like Florida, Texas, and Louisiana are the worst ones. But as you can see, California, you still have North Carolina, Atlanta, and those lower states that are being heavily affected as well. So you're going to want to be able to have that information for your clients and let them know, hey, we've got a solution for that. We're going to preemptively put a gutter guard on here. It's never going to have to be taken off. So don't waste your money on those other guards. Next. So these are the meshes we currently have in place: the 40 mesh, 24 mesh, and the 16 mesh. The 16 mesh will go away. What we found is with Doug fir pine needles, they get through that mesh. So that's the one we're discontinuing. The 24 mesh is still a large mesh. It's going to be the go-to. I believe Arrow is already listed. I think we've already removed that from the catalog a while ago. So it's probably not going to affect you guys as much as it is a couple other companies or a couple other brands. Next one. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about pitch. These gutter guards should always be put in at at least an 11 degree pitch, never above a 19 degree pitch. That is my rule of thumb. And the reason why I do that is because if you go above that, you have to really know your roofs. You got to know your roofing material. You got to know your angles. You got to know roof styles. There's a lot more to know if you want to try to put it under the shingle and it work. So to keep it simple, 19 degrees is the cutoff point for me. I have guys that go up to 24 degrees, 25, 26 degrees, because they know what they're doing and they will put it, they know on that particular roof they could get away with it. But again, rule of thumb, 11 or between 11 and 19 degrees. That's going to be a 412 pitch for those of you that don't know. So you want to, if it's above a 412 pitch, automatically go to bent wing if you're not sure, or you're not sure it's going to work on a certain type of roof type. If you're a sales guy, you're out there and you see it and you're going, oh man, I don't know, a metal roof. Yeah, probably a metal roof. The water's going to be moving too fast. Anything above a 19 degree pitch, which is a 412 pitch, is probably going to start skipping over the screen because of the speed of the water and the angle of the screen. You want to keep it at an angle that it takes the water fully. So those are going to be your maximum outputs right there. You'll notice as we get steeper in the pitch, I lower that to 15 degrees. You want it a little bit flatter when you're hitting the 712, 812, 912 pitch, even if you're using the bent wing. So you can adjust it with the bent wing. You can adjust it up and down slightly, depending on how wide the gutter is and how well that guard's fitting in there. Sometimes it fits nice and snug, and sometimes it's a little bit looser. So you just kind of got to use your judgment on whether or not you can angle it or have to put it in flat. Everybody clear on pitch?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, next slide. So this is an installation video, or actually it might be the stinger.
It's the explainer.
It's the explainer. So this is basically just showing you those louvers and the arrows I was talking about that it caused that surface tension. You can see water will move to the front. Back that up. So you'll see that water will move to the front down the bottom of that screen. So just FYI, if you're above that 612 pitch with that flat wing product, that water can work its way around and underneath the gutter guard and out the front. So that's another reason why you don't want that sitting. The reason we do it this way is because that will keep the inside piece, puzzle piece, basically, that sits on the inside of that gutter down below the gutter line, so that all the water falls into the gutter. And you'll see quite a bit of it runs through down the louvers to the front there. So just to avoid that getting out the front, you want to keep that again at a 19 degree pitch. If for some reason you installed one and oh my gosh, the installer put it in at too high of a pitch and I'm getting water coming out the front, there is a quick and easy solution to fix it without having to go out and replace change all the gutter guards around. You can take weather stripping, 1/4 inch weather stripping, and just loosen the screws, put the weather stripping along the edge, and then mount it back down, and that should stop that from coming out the front. Doesn't happen very often, but once in a while I'll get a call and say, oh my God, my installer, he did this. What do I do? Do I have to remove all this? And there is a quick fix. You can do it as long as the customer's okay with it. Next. Or, yeah. So inside measurements. When you're measuring a gutter, obviously you want to get a good measurement so that we get the right fit. Now you'll notice on the left side here, there's a 1/2 inch measurement there. I need at least, for a bent wing product, I need at least a 1/2 inch clearance for the back wing. That 1/2 inch clearance is just so you can mount it to the fascia board. Now, if you have more than that, obviously you have room to play and you can pitch it a little easier. With the bent wing product, it's the only one that you run into some caveats where a lot of gutter hangers will hang the gutter too high sometimes right on the roof line. That's a problem. If it's above a 612 pitch, you really need to put a bent wing on there. I don't recommend you put a gutter guard on that gutter. That's my opinion, unless you lower the gutter. So if it's a wingless gutter, you can lower it and remount it. It's not very hard to do. If you've been doing gutters a while, you know it's not the rocket science. You're just lowering the gutter and making it level. And then putting some space between the roof line and the top of the gutter so that you can put a bent wing on there. Now the inside measurement is from the inside lip to obviously the back of the gutter. That measurement needs to be exact or an 1/8 over. If you're an 1/8 over, you have a little bit of room to pitch it to give it a little bit of angle. Slide it up or down. It gives you that extra play. But if you're too big, you're going to have a problem, and you might need a brake. You might need a 4-foot brake to adjust it. So don't make it too big. If you can avoid it. If you make it too short, obviously you're screwed. But you're really looking for an exact measurement in that. So commercial gutter, commercial box gutters, we can fashion one for you for that particular style gutter. 1/2 round, same thing. These gutter guards fit 1/2 round gutters. I just need an inside measurement so that I can properly put them. Please account for the rounded front edge on a 1/2 round gutter. If you don't account for it, you might end up short. So just make sure you account for that extra curvature that's on the 1/2 rounds. With fascia gutter guards, with fascia gutters, you don't have that. You don't have to worry too much about it. I don't know how many of you use fascia gutters. We do it a lot out here in California. So all the openings are 4.5 inches, no matter what size the fascia gutter, 7 inch, 6 inch, 5 inch, whatever, because they're measured from top to bottom. With the K-style, obviously those are measured from the width of the gutter, which is the opening, and that becomes a little bit more challenging. So if you're using fascia, you order one style gutter and you're done. But if you're using K-style, you're obviously you gotta follow what the size is. Next slide. This is a custom gutter guard form. I will make sure all of you have one. It is, you're basically, if you have a flat wing product that you need to get a custom wing for so that you can cover a 10-inch gutter or a 12-inch gutter, you can go ahead and write in the inside custom measurement on there. I would recommend you put an overall measurement on top as well. And I do have a form that already has that space available on the flat wing. With the bent wing, you just write in your inside measurement. We're down the road. On this diagram. The reason I do these is because they started asking me to have customers draw a diagram, and that seemed a little tedious for me and my customers. So I went ahead and just made a template so that you guys can just write in the size. Not going to matter whether it's a box gutter, 1/2 round, whatever. That same inside custom measurement. That's all they need to see in order to make it proper. Next one. This is what I'm looking for as far as an inside measurement. You want to go all the way to the back of the gutter where you're going to mount the back side of the gutter guard. So you'll notice that one's up at an angle. So he wants that up underneath that lip there. So he's given me a measurement of 5 5 5/8. So that 5 5/8 measurement, that's the kind of angle I need too. I need to see it so that I have an exact measurement for you. If it looks iffy and I'm not sure, I'm going to call you and we're going to have to hash it out over the phone. And if you're not out at the house, obviously that's going to be a lot more difficult, and it's going to end up being a bigger problem for you. Give me, let's see, let's go to the next slide. So this is going to be a little bit of an installation video, I believe. I'm gonna narrate through this as they're doing it. You'll notice they're using a bent wing and a flat wing in these two situations. I think this is a Stinger video.
No, it's a really long.
Oh, it is the long one. Okay. Okay, so basically what he's doing here is he's doing a flat wing installation on a regular comp shingle roof. That's obviously animated. Mm-hmm. So let's I can show them this stuff. So we're gonna skip through this. I'll show you this live. All right, so we have pre-cut corners for you. So this is a pre-cut corner. It comes just like this. It's going to have a cover strip in it that's going to look like this for the finishing strip. And obviously it'll be the same color as whatever the card is. They're pre-cut. So when you have an outside corner that you need a pre-cut corner for, we can go ahead and have those already pre-made for you. So you just have to assemble them on the roof. Much easier to do. We can do that with bent wing and flat wing. We have diverters. These are diverter sets. They look like this. They come in packs like this. They're rights and lefts. And these are for inside corners, but I also use them as end caps on bent wing and anything at a 412 or below. So because it covers that little gap at the end of the gutter. It works really well. It's really easy to cut, and it gives you a nice finished look at the end, so that you're not you don't look unfinished. Obviously, when you leave loose screen or an open gap at the end, it just doesn't look as nice as when you have it nice and covered and looking well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the flat wing installation. So the flat wing installation obviously has a flat wing like this. This is a 5-inch. You have your arrows pointing whatever direction you want, but actually they're pointing one direction. The guard goes up underneath the shingle like so. And then pulls back down. And then obviously you just do your mounting. This is right at a 412 fit, so it would be a nice, clean looking install. Very easy to put on, very quick, very fast. Now your competition out there is going to say, "Oh, they're putting it underneath the shingle, and that's going to void the roof warranty." I have a GAF report that will give you the information you need in order to combat that. As long as a qualified roofing expert has put the gutter guard on, you do not ruin the roof warranty. Also, you have a drip edge here and a roof and the membrane. Oh, sorry. You have the membrane plus the drip edge that your gutter guard's sitting on. It does not sit underneath on the tar paper, and it does not void any roof warranties if it's up on the shelf there. This is an 1.5 inch flashing, so it goes 1.5 inches back as well. You're never even touching the roof. You're touching the flashing. With the bent wing product, that one's a little bit different. This one's going in just like this. You're pulling it straight, and then obviously you're mounting it to the back of the gutter. And when you mount it, I usually mount the back first and then push or pull the gutter to line it up properly with the next piece. One of the key points that you got to think about when you're putting in a gutter guard is the seam. Now, our gutter guards show up like this. You've probably seen them. And one of the things that you have to do is you got to prep it. And what I like to do is I'll cut the screen, and I cut it out away from the frame here. So I want it to be over here when I cut that screen back. I don't want it to touch the front edge of the screen here, or the frame. Because if it touches the frame, what happens, the water will like to trickle down some of the screen, and you might get a slow drip there if you leave frays and stuff there. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. You want that completely cut off, just like that. I took 2 cuts. It was nice and quick, and it's off of the frame, and it's back. It's back far enough that the frays are all gone off the edge here. If you leave little stragglers of screen here, it can accumulate water in a very slow pattern. But once it builds up, you'll start to get a steady drip. So make sure all those frays are off of there. Doesn't matter as much on the back, but on the front, it absolutely matters. So I clip both sides, but make sure you at least cut this and cut it back away from the frame so that you don't get a seam drip. And that's going to be true for every gutter guard I sell. One of the things that we do with the seam as well is we'll take the I should probably show them up close. I'll take this when I'm folding it. I do a pressure seal, and I do it like this. I'll fold it out away from a little bit away from the frame, like so. And then when the other frame comes to the other side, it presses against, and I'll show you what that looks like. Grab that other. I'm going to use 2 colors because I only have 2. I don't have another white, but this is just for training purposes. All right, so I'm going to do that again with this side. You'll see I cut it out away from the frame. Then I'm going to slide this in. And as I press it together, I create a pressure seal. Sorry about that. I don't have it screwed in. Press that. Thank you. So that creates a pressure seal. This isn't working very well, is it? Oh, you know what? This is one I used on a piece.
Just want the pre-cut miter.
Want a what?
Pre-cut miter.
Hang on just a second. So basically, that's going to give a nice clean seam when you butt it up. If you leave a gap, you can use caulking, but never let the caulking touch the front of the frame. Keep it off on the screen about right here. Well, about right here. Don't let it touch the front of the screen or the frame. Once it touches the front of the frame at a seam, you'll get water. You can get water accumulation and get a drip. So it's the little things that kill you. And that's not going to work. Yeah. All right, so I'm prepping a new piece here that's not so chewed up from the last time I did this stuff. All right, and so This one's going to tuck down a little bit more because it's a softer screen. The 40 mesh is obviously softer than the 24, and you can see the difference between the two. So it's going to go in something like that. What I would do on this one is mount this piece first, and then press it together. You're going to have a little bit of a gap here sometimes. That's where you would put caulk and just fill in the gap. If you pull the screen up, you can actually fill in the gap partially and make it look nice and clean. And then just press it down once it's in place. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it does need to be clean. So you just don't like this fray right here. I would cut a little bit more of this off and cut that away from the frame right there. And even if there's a little gap there, that is okay. You can have a little small gap there. I don't mind that. And I will warranty that all day long. What I do not want is caulking filled in there, because it's just going to build up water on either side of the caulk and create a drip for you. And we don't want to do that. That is that portion. Does anybody have any questions on seams? I know I'm kind of blazing through this pretty fast, and I just want you to get the basics of what could cause the problems with the seam. And it's really just that front piece of the frame and frays and caulking touching the frame. It's really just those three things. When you do an outside corner, obviously this is a pre-cut. They're very simple. You just assembling it. I mean, it don't get any easier than this. It's placed in. Now you can have this gap here, because what you're doing is you're taking a cover strip and you're finishing that. What I do is I'll put caulking down the center on either side, and then I'll glue it down, but I'll also put a screw in the tip here, mounting this side or this side, depending on which side you're using, and then putting another screw on the other side to mount the other side for the outside corner. Obviously, you're going to clip this to fit, and that's very simply done by first measuring it. Going like this. I usually just take my scissors and put a mark there, and then I cut it. And voila, you're done. Super simple, super easy, quick and fast. When you're on the roof and you're doing 100 of these, it's gonna obviously move fast for you, and it's gonna be a lot simpler. And you'll figure out the little caveats that you're gonna run into. You'll hit little inside corners. You run into a lot of things. If you've been doing this for a while, you know you'll get some tricky inside corners in some tight situations where the roof line and the metal and the flashing are all kind of converging, and there's ways around all that. One of the things we use is a high flow inside miter. The high flow inside miter is this piece right here. This is a 16 mesh with a 20 gauge wire. This is going to be a lot thicker wire, so it's nice and rigid. You can see it's rounded down on the side, so you can create your seam for the gutter guard on the inside piece. You'll cut that to fit for the gutter, like I've done here in the background. I put these on every single house. I think it's just an easier way to do things. Now on this particular roof, it requires diverters. Many roofs may, as far as water speed and angle. On this particular one that we've built, if I turn a hose on here and I don't have diverters in this, it goes straight over the top of the gutter and lands on the ground. And in many cases, you might have that same experience with when you put a gutter guard on. So FYI, on inside corners, there's a remedy for that. And right now it's diverters. There's a new thing coming out soon that I'll let you in on here in a few weeks. So what you do is you prep it. You prep that inside corner so that to fit the inside of the the inside corner, obviously. And then what I do is I'll cut the end off here. I'll cut the edges and then cut them so they fit into the gutter properly, and it'll kind of look like that. The final step is inserting it. So when it's placed, it's going to look like this. And so when water comes down, it'll break right and left, and it'll take all that water. On this particular house, like I said, I put diverters on. The way I set diverters is, especially on a metal flange, is I'll put 3 sets of them. And the reason I put 3 sets is because if I put 1 set down at the bottom, I get a waterfall. Water's moving too fast. It's going to hit that abrupt stop, and it just launches over. So if I move another one up a couple feet and I put 2 more, I get that same ramping, not quite as bad, but it's still, any of the water that's diverted also just comes right back to the center and then speeds up again. So you got to have 1 at the bottom, 1 in the middle, and I usually put 2 more feet up. And if you put that one up there, you shouldn't get any ramping. It should be a nice even flow. It'll be a nice cascading effect where it's coming down and then down to the inside corner. The main problem for inside corners that people run into is, hey, water's coming off my roof onto my porch. And we'll put the old time remedy is we put a splash guard up. Splash guards are great. I think this works better. I think it looks better. It looks more aesthetically sound rather than a big plate that's sitting up in front of the gutter guard. And then it also doesn't have the debris hold. You know, you don't have to clean it as often because there's not a whole bunch of debris stuck in front of the flash. With these, you do catch a little bit of debris on the roof, but on a 412, 512, even a 612 pitch, if they already have debris in the inside corner, they're going to get it anyway. So they're still going to have to service this. I put these on with glue, so do not put a nail in the roof. Don't do anything like that. Obviously, we were talking about voiding roof warranties by going underneath the shingle with a gutter guard. That doesn't void the roof warranty, but if you put a nail in it, it certainly will. So let's not do that. But the diverters, when they're put in and placed properly, will stop the water from going onto the porch. If they don't see the water hitting the porch, they don't usually care about the debris. They might say, hey, there's a debris buildup, and you can say, of course there is. It's an inside corner. And if you had debris there before, you're going to have it there still. That's something you'll still have to maintenance once in a while. And we can talk about how to position the customer so that they know that they're going to have to service inside corners no matter what they put up there. Gutter guards, as you know, they all have a little bit of maintenance, and mine is no exception. Anybody who tells their customer that they're maintenance free is lying to them, and that's a great segue into getting them to buy your product rather than the person who's lying to them. So that's it for that part of the installations. Again, these are used as, I use these again as end caps sometimes. I'm not going to go through how to do that. It's pretty self-explanatory. And there is a video online for doing the end caps. So I'll make sure you guys have that information. You can pretty much do buy flat wing for everything if you have a 4-foot brake on your truck. If you want to make your own bent wing on site and say you have a custom job, you just don't know if you got the size, or you forgot to do a size, didn't realize it was a bent wing job. These are aluminum frames, so they're very easy to bend and mold into place. I wouldn't use a handbrake, obviously, but I would use a 4-foot handbrake is fine. But obviously a small handbrake is not going to work for that. One of the things we deal with out there is dry screen area. So let's move into those next slides. So dry screen area, you get these installations where you have an awning, and the awning, can they see that picture? There we go. All right, so you'll see these awnings out there, and they'll have dry screen underneath them because obviously the rain's not falling on those screens. With every micro mesh on the planet, it must be wet for it to function properly. If it is dry, you will get an overshoot. Water will go over the top of it, no matter how big it is. Now, if it's really large mesh, like the 16 mesh that we're discontinuing, it works a little bit, but it's still going to go over the top of it. So just FYI, even if you have this type of situation, the first thing you got to do is obviously condition your customer and let them know, hey, you're going to have some dry screen areas up there. And one of the things we recommend, can they see me?
Sort of.
One of the things we recommend is this melt away cover. This is basically made for a heat cable, to cover a heat cable in cold environments, and it fastens to the top of the gutter guard, and the cable goes underneath. It radiates the heat through the gutter. But in these dry situations where you have an awning that's over the top of a gutter, you can put these on and they'll act as a brake to stop the water from going over the top. I would recommend using these, and the reason why is it will stop a little bit of debris from going over, but it'll also stop it from going over onto their patio furniture, onto their decks. If you have roof granules, it's gonna slow that down too, so that it's not on their patio and roof deck or patio deck. They fasten to the gutter guard like so. So you'll either, if you're doing a heat cable, you'll lay a heat cable on top and then cover it, or if you're doing an awning, you just put the cover on, and it lines up directly with the hole. So you just loosen the screws and then slide it underneath and then tighten them back down. And now you've covered that. It's going to keep that water from going over onto the patio on a dry screen area. So you can do these, you can cut these, and these are also aluminum, so that you can cut these to be whatever size you want, and mount them however you need to. If you have let's talk a little bit more about dry screen before I move on to the clinch. Let's go back to the slide. So dry screen area. So if you notice under this particular awning, in this situation, you're going to have water would have went over into their box, which probably has their cushions in it for the winter, and probably would have soaked their cushions. So you want to make sure that if you're in this situation, that you put those deterrents on in order to keep that off the patio. Go to the next slide, please. And this is another situation, same thing. You're going to have the same example. The pitch of the roof is a lot steeper, so it's going to be a lot more prevalent in this one than in the last one. Next. So you're going to get gables like this, where you're going to have the gable and a gutter goes over the top of the roof and over the top of another piece of gutter where it's dry underneath. Same situation, same scenario applies. You'll notice they put splash guards. I think these splash guards are a little bit too far out, but I would not put splash guards there. I would put diverters to remedy this situation, so that it doesn't have the big splash guard on the front of the house, and the diverter would sit under there with a charcoal color in those blue areas, so that it's not noticeable on the roof. Gives it a much better aesthetic look, as well as keeps the ground below, like that planter down below on the patio, from getting destroyed from overshoot of water. And we can talk about how to put those in if you guys run into those situations. They're real simple. You're just basically gluing the diverter to the roof in those same angles I've drawn on that drawing. Next one. This is another unique situation. So this is the back of one of those houses. I would put diverters in this inside corner, even though that's comp roof and that water's not going to be moving that fast. On a heavy downpour, you might need to slow that water down. I would put them there just for safety's sake. They cost $6 for a pack of 10, so it's not like you're spending a lot of money, but you will spend a lot of money if you got to go back out there and fix it. So just FYI on that. You'll notice that dry, where that arrow is, that's the dry area I'm talking about. You'll see that that gutter actually empties out onto the roof right there. So you have all that roof area, all those inside corners coming down to that one spot, hits that dry screen, and I guarantee you it's going through that screen into that patio if you put a gutter guard on there and you haven't properly prepped it with a diverter to push that water towards the wet side of the screen. Yes, it pushes it to a smaller area, but the amount of water that it's going to take is going to be better. If it does get around it, you can actually leave a couple little gaps with the diverters so that some water gets through and it trickles down slow enough to where it's not going to overshoot, but it's going to get it wet. Same situation right here. This is just the other side of that same house, I believe. I would put the diverters right there. That water is going to be moving fast down that one. In fact, I think this is one I did because it had a down below there. It had a heater, or not a heater, air conditioning unit, and the water was hitting the air conditioning unit, was dripping on it and making a loud pinging sound. And I had to figure out how to remedy that situation. And so that's how I placed those there. This is a unique situation. This is a really poorly designed roof, in my opinion, for water movement. On the next slide, you'll see where the upper is, but this one I had to put diverters all over the place on this one. This was originally, as you can see, a leaf filter job. They had a terrible time with the water going over the gutter guard because it was just too much volume, not enough screen area shown. You could see there was only 2 inches of screen area there. With our guard, once we put it on, it can handle it because of how I angle the water so that to slow it down. So you would have your diverters in that inside corner, diverters up on the side of the house, diverters on the far inside corner, and then also just below it to direct the water into either way on the other side there. I did use extra large mesh, I believe, on this job, but I think it was because we didn't have any pine trees present and I could get away with it. Next one. This is the upper part of that same roof. So you'll see all that roof was emptying out onto that same little roof, all into that one little spot down there at the corner. So, which is why there was a lot of water management down at the bottom. This is just what I showed you earlier, where I would put 3 sets of gutter or of diverters on the roof. Those come in charcoal, so you can get them to match the roof so that they look nice and clean up there. This is just another picture from that angle. This is another situation where you have the gables that are covering the roof. Again, I would divert the water just out away from the dry screen area, and you shouldn't have any problem. Downspouts that empty out onto the roof. You can use large mesh, or you can use our 20-inch specialty miter, which is in our catalog. So if you should have a copy of my catalog. In the back where the miters are, you'll see a 20-inch straight. That 20-inch straight is the same 16 mesh we use on the inside corner, and you can place those strategically to handle the larger volumes of water coming from those downspouts. You can also put a diverter up there, a couple diverters to slow it down. But if you want, and then you might get away with using just regular standard mesh if you want to move it along fast, but it depends on how much rain that area gets and how much volume's coming down there, obviously. This is a metal roof. This one I definitely put diverters on the where the downspouts are, and I will triangulate those to where they're at a point, kind of like the shape of the arrow gutter guard mesh, and I would angle it so that when the water comes down, it angles away so that it kind of spreads that water out a little more evenly and doesn't just come barreling down to that one spot. Another shot of the inside corner. Next one.
The diverter install.
Oh, diverter install. Okay, this is a diverter install. I'm going to go ahead and let you watch this so you can see what they're doing here. and he's just placing those. Now, in this video, he places them too far apart. In my opinion, everybody has their preference, but I put them a little bit closer together. I only want a little bit of water getting through there, through the center, because when it goes through the center, it's going to stay moving fast, and that's the object, is to slow it down. So we do have holiday light clips that clip on exactly how you see there. They slide underneath that front lip of the frame, and then you bend them down, and they can hold a light clip. You can also bend those shut so that it holds the light permanently. You can also screw them down if you want to while you mount the gutter guard. There's lots of different options for the holiday light clip. They're really inexpensive if you want to put holiday light clips as a bonus on somebody's house so that they can hang their lights, or they have concerns about that. You have that option. What's this one?
Sales bag.
This is just some of the sales equipment that we have. This is a small water display. It used to be made out of cardboard, but it's now, the particle board, but now it's made out of aluminum, and it'll last you forever. So is the stand up there that you see. Comes in that bag that you see. It comes with a sample of samples of our gutter guards and a kill shot of one of our competitors that we run into the most in whatever territory you're in. It's very nice. That little display is a water display. It does function, and is very easy to move around, very light, very professionally made, very nice decals. And they've actually been updated here lately. So now it has all the ASTM and fire compliant stuff on the advertising. So, and you'll see that on the new catalogs coming out too as well. So those should be out here in a week or two. Also, brochures. If you need brochures for the Aero Gutter Guard, I have brochures as well. Make sure you just let me know, hey, I need them. And John Swank. That was, somebody played a joke on me and put my name as SWANK, and Shank. And that's not my phone number. It's probably some hotline or something. All right. So this is the GAF Technical Advisory Bulletin for gutter guards. It says if you are a homeowner attempting to install your own, we will generally not find no application instruction provided either at the place of purchase or on respect to the manufacturer's website. GAF suggests the homeowner not attempt to install gutter covers themselves unless they obtain installation instructions from the gutter cover manufacturer. Instead, it may be best to have gutter covers installed by a professional installer who is familiar with good roofing practices. Most professional installers of gutter covers have their own specific application instructions that must be followed to obtain maximum benefit of the covers. In almost all instances, the products are installed in accordance with good roofing practices and do not have an impact on roofing manufacturer's warranty. And that is the big line that a lot of companies out there will try to feed their customers, that it avoids the roof warranty if you go underneath the shingle. That is absolutely not true. Avoiding installing gutter covers with application instruction requires the following: penetrating the shingle with a fastener. That's a big no-no. Removal and replacement of shingles for installation. So if they're removing the shingle and replacing it, that's a big no-no. Removal and elimination of drip edges. So if they're taking the drip edge off and they're not a roofer, they're probably going to avoid the roof warranty. And installation under the underlayment. The underlayment is not the shingles. The underlayment is the tar paper or membrane that is underneath the shingles. So as long as you don't go underneath that membrane, you're good to go. The limited warranty only covers manufacturer defects of the shingles and does not cover the gutter covers or damage due to their installation. So if they damage the roof as a result of putting it underneath the shingles, like it's a brittle shingle roof or it's a shake roof and they're snapping pieces of wood off, then obviously, yeah, that's a problem. But most cases, the roof shingles are pliable and you can go underneath them fairly easily without any damage. Other than that, what's next?
Just the pictures.
Okay, let's go to the next picture, just so I can fade out. This is a interesting style of putting in, of not putting in an end cap. This actually works if you do it right. That screen cannot protrude past the gutter itself. So you'll see on that bent wing, they mounted it properly. Everything's going to work on that particular gutter guard. Now this one, they used it looks like they used a clinch channel, doesn't it? Which I'm going to show them here in a minute. No, that's just a folded wing. Okay. So you can do that way. If you have a bent wing and you can keep it low enough without making a gap, you're good. If there's a gap there, it starts to get into sketchy territory as far as leaving an opening for rodents and birds and bees and things like that to get into. Bees, you can do your best with bees, but they're going to find a way sometimes. They don't need a very big spot to get into, but with birds and rodents, you can definitely keep those types of things out of the gutter. Go to the next slide. So this is what I'm talking about putting a silicone in the seam. If you do this, don't do it like that. You're going to want to put a very thin bead, just enough to cover the gap, so that it doesn't no debris gets through it. This looks like the guy pushed it in there as well and kind of smeared it, which means he used his finger, which means it's going to collect water in every little gully where he made a little indentation in the plastic. It also comes out to the seam right there. So any water that accumulates around that edge right there is going to create a drip. So don't do that. That is what not to do. Next slide. Huh?
Last one.
That's the last one? Oh, I thought we had a whole bunch more.
We have more.
No, that's fine.
All right.
So let's go to the screen. My screen. Okay, so I have what we call here, Lynch Aluminums makes a clinch channel. We make one as well. And what that is, it's a piece that you would mount. So if you're in a tricky situation and you can't go underneath the shingle, the shingles are glued down because of hurricane laws or whatever. We make a piece that's a folded piece, and you can see there it's a little F channel. I don't know if that'll focus. It's a little F channel. It kind of looks like that. This part mounts to the inside of the gutter, and then the gutter guard will slide into this piece, acting as a shingle. If I can get it in there. It's a little bit different when you're trying to do it in front of a camera. So it slides on just like that. And so when you can mount the entire gutter guard system like that. Now, if it's a shorter, real short gutter piece, and you don't have a bent wing, and all you have is your DeWalt shear that you can cut the back off, and you have some of this with you, you can actually cut this off and make it shorter and adjust on the fly for when you're on the job. So, and we make this in the 3 colors as well. We also will have brown and mill finish until the middle of the summer. So just FYI on that, if you need something like that, you're in a unique situation where you need that extra piece, and you want to slide it in that way rather than go underneath the shingle or mount it to the fascia with a bent wing, because with this you have a lot more leeway. With a bent wing, you're in a fixed position. If you're going to change that fixed position, you're going to have to use a brake to flatten it and then bend it back, and it doesn't look as nice. If you buy these pieces, you can mount these first and then just slide your gutter guard into these. And I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions or things that I may not have covered that you run into out there? Mansard roofs, commercial roofs, anything. Okay. If you guys want to unmute, I would just like to say thank you for being here today. And if you have any questions or concerns moving forward and need any help, I'd love to be a service and walk you through whatever issues you run into. If you follow those simple things, the three things about the cutting the seam and making that seam proper, there is an overlap method that we do as well. I don't do the overlap method because if the screen pops up even a little bit, it ends up creating a drip. So I always use the tuck method. If I leave a gap, I use a little bit of silicone in that gap. Just make sure you don't run your finger down the silicone. That's the main point. Let it go naturally on a bead. If there's a little bit of space, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect for the seam. What does need to be perfect is not getting a drip. we don't want to get drips. So last thing we need is callbacks, and we want to have a nice smooth installation and a happy customer. So when you run into those dry areas, make sure you're compensating for those dry areas. Make sure your salespeople understand they need to add those services onto their estimates when they do it. I'll let you guys work out what kind of pricing you need for those estimates, or if you want to include it in the main footage cost. Whatever you guys do is great. So give me a call when if you need anything. And I will be in touch, obviously, and send you this video for any new people coming on board. They can have a look and they can see that. I also have others that are available from previous times. So there's plenty of information out there on installation and servicing. And if we need to do a sales presentation just for product knowledge, I can certainly set that up as well. You guys have a great day. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
Thank you.